Santo Domingo, the oldest European city in the Americas. It was founded by Columbus, eventually sacked by Francis Drake. This is a place that is synonymous with explorers and pirates. The city boasts the oldest tavern in the New World, the first university, and the first cathedral in the Americas. Today, it is a quintessentially Caribbean port. Lots of life, lots of humidity, and plenty of reminders of the country's swashbuckling past. So the plan now is to head about 75 miles due east, almost to the end of the island, to meet up with an explorer and an archaeologist who are following new leads that Captain Kidd's treasure may be right here in the Caribbean. Captain Kidd.
Yes.
Before he went up to New York to try to clear his name and ultimately, died.
Sure.
He was down here, right? He was in the Caribbean.
Yes.
Right.
So how did he come to be down here?
So it comes down here from Madagascar, arrives here in this part of the world, and finds out that he's been declared a pirate by the English crown. And it's going to be very difficult to clear his name.
While sailing in the Indian Ocean, Kidd seizes a ship known as the Quai Merchant. He believes it to be French, which would make it fair game. But it turns out to be the property of the East India Trading Company, which means it's technically owned by the British, who he works for. So he's got this boat that he shouldn't have taken.
Yes.
Right.
But
Yes.
it's loaded with loot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Kidd's got a big problem. The Quai Merchant is unique looking for this region. It looks very different, and he knows that he's going to get caught if he uses that ship.
Right, this is like driving around in a flashy stolen car with big rims on it, right?
Exactly.
So what does he do?
He lets the Quai Merchant right here in the Dominican Republic and heads for New York.
And what becomes of the Quai Merchant?
Well, the Quai Merchant, unfortunately, comes to kind of a sad end. She's anchored right over here, but she gets looted, she's set adrift, set on fire, and ultimately, she sinks just a few kilometers from here.
And that wreck has been found.
Yes.
Yes, it has. The wreck has been found, and she's been securely identified, so we know it is the Quai Merchant.
And so what's the plan today? What are we doing today?
Plan for today is to go out and dive on the Quai Merchant.
And if you want to learn about Captain Kidd, this is a chance to dive on his actual ship.
So how does this shipwreck potentially help us to find his treasure?
We know that before it sank, this vessel was anchored off Mona Island for a couple weeks.
And what's he doing there for 2 weeks?
That's a good question. It's a long-held belief that he may have buried some of his treasure on Mona Island.
Mona Island, halfway between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, was well known in Kidd's era as a hideout for pirates and privateers. And it's where Kidd and the Quai Merchant laid low before he abandoned his ship off the Dominican Republic.
After a couple of weeks on Mona Island, a bad storm came through,
Right.
so he cut 2 of his anchor cables. Those 2 anchors have never been found, so we don't know where he was anchored.
It's entirely possible that Kidd stashed his treasure while on Mona Island, and considering the weight and size of the loot, it was likely hidden near wherever he anchored. A ship the size of the Quai Merchant would have had up to 6 anchors, identical in size and make. This means that when Kidd cut 2 anchors in the storm at Mona Island, he inadvertently left 2 fingerprints at the scene. But before we go looking for them, we need to know what they look like. If we can examine the anchors on the wreck of the Quai Merchant, we can then go to Mona Island and try to find Kidd's lost anchors there. By matching the anchors at both sites, we'll learn where Kidd was posted up and where he likely hid his loot.
Absolutely awesome.
Cannons like these had barrels over 9 feet long, and the Quai Merchant had 30 of them, mounted and ready for a fight at the drop of a hat. You did not want to mess with this ship.
Hey, Josh, come over here. This is the main deposit of the wreck. Copy that. Look at that. There's one there and another. They're all just piled up on top of each other. The way the cannons are laying, I think they're in the hold.
We found the cannons, so hopefully the anchors will be close by. We fan out to look, and sure enough,
Josh, look, we got an anchor. Look at that. You can clearly see the arms, and you can see where the shank goes back here. No doubt about it, that's a huge anchor. Absolutely, fantastic.
a telltale sign of the anchor's age is the absence of an iron crossbeam. In Kidd's time, those beams were made of wood, which means it rotted away long ago. The weather above the surface is turning darker, and we may only have scant minutes before conditions turn for us down below. While Jose remains stationed at camp, Brad and I hike into the wilderness. He believes that the most probable site for Kidd to have hidden his treasure is the caves, so we make for one of the entrances we saw from the water. The wilderness of Mona Island is an eerie realm, dominated by hermit crabs and patrolled by giant iguanas, and home to a maze. This one, eons in the making, the perfect hiding place for a stash of stolen millions.
Wow.
Look at that. Well, we're looking for a pirate cave. I mean, you can't get much more Goonies than that, can you?
You're thinking the same thing I am. You ready to go in?
Yeah, let's go check it out. Come on, let's do it.
Sounds great.
Wow.
Erosion has bored out over 200 limestone caverns that ring the island. Fortunately, these caves are 200 feet above sea level, so any treasure Kidd might have left will still be high and dry.
Oh, Brad, come here. Look at this. Look at this.
Holy. Oh.
That's carved.
Wow.
Look at that. It's a turtle. There's more of it. See there?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This cave is just covered in native art.
This is absolutely
Look at
incredible.
those lines in there. You see that? This is really old native art. This is probably Taino.
Holy smoke.
The Taino were the original native people of the Caribbean, but they disappeared from Mona well before Kidd's time, tragic victims of disease and conquest. Cave art such as this, though, would be valuable to pirates as markers, landmarks to note where they've hidden treasure.
So, Brad, in terms of the size of the treasure, how big is it likely to be? You know, what are we looking at?
Well, according to records, he had about 2,200 ounces of silver on the vessel. And you take into account, this is a real piece of 8. This is one of the first pieces of treasure that I found.
Pieces of 8 were silver Spanish coins worth 8 reals. They were the currency of choice in the 17th century Caribbean among both traders and pirates.
2,200 of
There'd be
those.
2,200 of these.
Right, plus all the gold.
Plus all the gold, plus the
everything
silks,
else.
plus the jewelry, plus what else, you know, who knows?
So either it's one massive hiding spot or it's split up.
I'm gonna go with the fact that it's probably split up because Captain Kidd was known to be very cautious.
Right.
And he wouldn't hide everything in just one spot.
So this is the pirate version of diversifying your portfolio.
Exactly.
Okay,
I like
okay.
that. I like
I
that.
got it. Well, that's good for us. There's maybe more things to find. Well, let's find them.
Okay, we got it.
We break out the metal detectors and see if we can pick up a trail that might lead to signs of Kidd's presence or his treasure. With all this real estate to cover, it seems like the only way to find something is by accident. But then again, accidents happen.
I got a hit here.
You do?
Yeah, I got a strong hit here.
Hey, we'll turn my detector off.
Yeah, let me get the pinpointer.
You get something right there. That's a good solid hit.
Oh, what are you? What is that?
Let me see.
Piece of metal?
Wait a minute. There's some markings on it. Hold on. Holy smoke, buddy. Look at that. There is a cross right there. That is a cross.
Is this a piece of 8?
Yes, you got a piece of 8
This
there,
is a
buddy.
piece of
That
8.
is a piece of 8.
Come
That
on!
is a piece of 8. Yes.
Look at that!
Yeah.
Look at that!
There's a castle, a castle and lion. That's for the 2 provinces of Spain, Castile and Leon.
Yeah, I can see the
Yeah,
castle. Look at
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Holy. That's buried treasure.
Congratulations, buddy. Join the club. Join the club,
Man,
buddy.
that is
That's great.
awesome. This could be, no joke, a part of Kidd's treasure.
Yes, you've got a buried treasure, buddy.
This is an amazing discovery. A piece of 8 lying hundreds of feet inside a cavern that takes some contortion to even access. It's hard to think that this is here by accident.
I can tell you one thing, we are never leaving this cave.
Okay.
Get more batteries, get some food provisions up here. We live here now.